Spring is here, and with that comes the time for pruning. So, I've got my secateurs, or pruners, or snippers, I don't care what you call them, my loppers for larger cuts, my trusty ladder, and a good quality pruning saw. The first thing you're going to do is the 3Ds, the dead, diseased, and damaged wood. And then you're going to look for interfering wood, wood that's rubbing up against each other, because that's going to open up the tree for disease, and also wood that's interfering with buildings and the neighbor and the dog and so on. And then you're going to prune for aesthetics, to make the tree look good. This cut here is a good cut. See how the growth, the scar tissue is all the way around? It's nice and even. How even that growth is tells you that it was a proper cut. It was right to the growth collar, but not into the growth collar. So on this branch here, the growth collar is right there, just like the knuckle on your hand. Don't be alarmed. It's right there. All the hormones to heal that wound are right there. Perfect. Weak wood that's growing down, we can remove that right back to our growth collar. This is where we get to go crazy. We get to remove all of the dead, diseased, and damaged and interfering wood that's going the wrong way. Now, you don't want to actually remove more than a third of the wood, the dynamic wood, the wood that's doing something for the tree. So, I don't like where this branch is going today, but pruning isn't about today. It's about tomorrow and next year and 5 years down the line. So if I take off this branch, I'm going to end up with a big open space here. So instead I'm going to follow the branch down, and I'm going to take it back to a growth point. It's going to look a little funny now, but I'm going to take it back to here so that this grows out this way. And that way I'll have a little bit of a veil over the window. So I'm thinking long term about how I do these things. See, that's a great example of interfering wood. See how it's rubbing up against itself there? For now, I'm just going to cut it back to here, and then I'll touch up that cut later on. Now this is an elder, so it's actually got pretty soft wood, but I don't like that cut. I don't like the angle that I got with it. Loppers are wonderful, but they tend not to be terribly precise. I'm actually going to use my saw Now this branch, I can take it and I can pull it out here, because that's going to be beautiful. Eventually that's going to grow up over the pathway. I've become a big fan of the pruned arch in the last couple of years. Now you have a tree that is open, the wind can flow through, we've removed all the dead, diseased, and damaged wood, and we've given it a nice form that's going to grow up over the pathway. So we're going to remove a larger branch because it's important that you know how to do that. We're going to do something called a drop cut so that we don't have a tear back on the branch and peel away the bark. We're going to come up from underneath, only about a third to half of the way. And then, that's pretty good. We're going to come further up the branch, and we're going to come from the top down. Now, see, it's peeling away. Perfect. See how it did that? Now, imagine what would have happened if that had been done without that drop cut. It would have just kept peeling all the way down. And that's what would have happened back here at the growth collar. That's bad. So, now we line up our cut. That's a cut that makes me happy. So there's something that I like to call goal-oriented pruning, which is pruning for a reason. This branch here is growing out toward the pathway, and if somebody doesn't make a good cut, somebody's going to come along and make a bad cut. So it's important to make the cuts that need to be done to make sure that the plant grows in the direction you want it to. Think of pruning as guiding, not forcing. Beauty. Now, nobody's going to get poked in the eye. Now, you also have to remember the don'ts. what not to do. Don't use tree paint. You need a band-aid, tree doesn't need a band-aid. Putting a roof or a cover over it just makes a home for insects and fungi to live and encourages rot. Don't leave stubs because the tree can't heal properly. And don't make flush cuts where the cut is right parallel with the rest of the branch, because that takes away the hormones that the tree needs to heal. There's very little that's more satisfying than pruning, because you can see the beginning and you can see the end, and it's a perfect combination of science and art.